get this set up. Hi, Instagram. Hello. I know the internet and Instagram and social media is all about the hook, right? It's all about the hook. We're supposed to say something in the first couple seconds to get you to stay. It's always awkward. Some of you may have been following along. I'm doing some testing to see if Instagram Lives deliver value, if it's something that those of you who are connected together with me find valuable for me to continue doing. And it's also kind of awkward because in the beginning, when you first launch the live, it just sits there and says, we're letting your people know. Congrats. Thank you for letting the people know. I titled this live, Not a Hot Conversation, Not a Hot Topic, Not a Sexy Conversation, Not a Sexy Topic. And yet the topic of copyright infringement, especially in the real estate industry, still warrants being discussed. Hi, Julian. Hi, Michelle. This crossed my desk over the last couple of weeks that yet again, yours truly has a copyright infringement. Someone is infringing on a copyright that Jeffrey Funk and myself own. Hi, Julian. And I realized I haven't talked about this publicly, I don't think ever, and now's the time to start. I remember when, years ago, Mr. Funk, hey Mitch Robinson, good to see you, Mitch Robinson. Years ago, Mr. Funk created realtyinorlando.com, specifically around the 2006-2007 time period. And for those who may not have heard this part, we didn't have a whole lot of anything, and Jeffrey Funk locked himself in the back room of our rented apartment and didn't come out for about 6 months. Julian says you were just talking about this topic. Not enough people are educated in talking about copyright infringement. Yeah, I know. And it's not a fun, sexy conversation. And yet, you know what? I'm going to have it because it's time to have it. I don't know why more agents don't realize there is a topic that needs to be universally aware in the real estate industry that agents should not infringe on others' copyright. So going back to 2006, 2007, I remember when Mr. Funk locked himself into the back bedroom in an apartment that we rented. We did not own a home yet. We had plastic furniture. I'm not kidding, not trying to be dramatic. Didn't have furniture to speak of, all the common areas. We had that plastic folding kind of table and chairs, and our now 19-year-old was about almost 1 year old, and it was a different time back then. Hey, Mohammed. When Jeff locked himself in the room, he created realtyinorlando.com. Forward to around 2013, after the website had been around for a number of years. 2013 was the first time Jeff and I realized what was happening with the content on the website. So all of the content on realtyinorlando.com at that time was handwritten by Jeffrey Funk. And around the 2012, 2013 mark, I started to come in and contribute as a writer on the website, writing community information, hyperlocal information, blog posts, you name it. It was either Jeffrey Funk or myself writing the content, posting it on realtyinorlando.com. And that is one of the key ways that we, to this day, still build a business and lead generate. Although now we have writers and we have a marketing team that helps us. It's not Jeff and I always writing all the content anymore. Occasionally, but not all the time. So in that 2013, 2014 mark, what we realized and uncovered were at that time about 100 to 150 different cases of agents in the Orlando market and Central Florida market who were all infringing on the copyright of which we owned through content scraping, image scraping, you name it. There were about 100 to 150 cases of copyright infringement at that time that we uncovered. And the reason why that 2013 to 2014 mark is significant is in that time we were switching web development companies and relaunching a facelift, a new website, same content, same domain, but just as website owners do is you change and evolve your website. Content stays the same and continues to grow, but you give it a facelift. And so we were doing that. And through that evolution in 2013, 2014, we started doing some audits for the first time, and unbeknownst to us, that's when we found about 100 to 150 copyright infringements, all from about 100 to 150 agents, all different agents. Excuse me, I'm stuttering. Once again, hey, can we give a high five to this is real and you never have to worry about whether it's AI generated with me because you're going to get the good, the bad, the ugly. Hi, Deborah Beagle. Deborah Beagle, good to see you. For those of you who are not following Deborah, please go follow her. She's amazing. Deborah, I was just looking at old photos from FubCon of you and I. Such good memories. Love, love, love seeing you. Okay, so bringing you up to the story, in that 2014 period when we uncovered our copyright through realtyorlando.com, I got a real quick crash course on how to protect and defend and stand up for what is right, which is protecting the copyright of which you own in a business. I got a real crash course. So speaking with attorneys and seeking wise counsel and understanding what it means to send the copyright infringements to counsel and having cease and desist, understanding at that time, 2013, 2014, what a DMCA is when someone is infringing on a copyright on a website. There is a process in which you can file, the attorneys could file a DMCA, and the web hosting company would take down the website until the website owner would remove the copyright infringement. Yep, did that many, 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 many times. Fast forward to today. We're much wiser, much more self-aware on the regular to protect our copyright and protect our asset. We are constantly doing audits and checking to see if someone is infringing on our copyright. Now, the good news is in 2025 and in the course of the last decade, each year there's fewer and fewer cases of other real estate agents. It's mostly Central Florida real estate agents, which then are your direct competitors. It's much fewer and fewer where other agents are scraping our copyright and trying to take content from realtyorlando.com, but it still happens. I'd say over the last 5 years, we've probably filed, 3 to 5 a year, which is much less, and that's a good thing. Overall, though, from 2013 to date, we're probably north of 250, getting close to about 300 cases of Central Florida real estate agents who infringe on the copyright owned by Jeffrey and myself by taking content from realtyorlando.com and creating their own websites using the content we have written. Real estate agents, please, 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 pretty please, take 10 minutes, ask ChatGPT, ask Google, ask whoever, whatever platform you prefer. Just do a crash course on how you stay protected to not infringe on others' copyrights. Also, if you would like, NAR, National Association of Realtors, they have a legal portion of the NAR website where they give some tips on real estate agents, how agents can avoid stepping into a copyright infringement on someone else's IP. Familiarize with yourself with that. Be aware. Just the other day, through an audit, I found or it was brought to my attention, that a fairly big agent in Central Florida, competing agent, we work in similar markets, hence the fact that this is found, because this particular person went on to realtyorlando.com, or someone in this person's ecosystem, because sometimes it's assistants, or I get it. Sometimes maybe the main agent doesn't realize that someone in their professional ecosystem, staff, employees, assistants, may be doing it on their behalf. So I have grace and understand that not all leaders know. However, that's no excuse. If it's your website and you are paying somebody else or delegating to somebody else to handle building your website, you must do an audit and make sure that your employees, your staff, your writers created the content, okay? As a website owner, it's very easy to do an audit, y'all. It literally takes 2 seconds, hence the reason we now do them on the regular. So going back to the last couple of days, finding this well-known agent who is scraping our content to build their website, and then we've even been up against each other for competing for listings. Here's the deal. I'm about to have to make an uncomfortable phone call. When you're protecting a copyright, when you're protecting your asset, you have to consistently file cease and desist. I can't be selective about, hey, because I know you, because we know each other, I don't have to do a cease and desist. We have to stay consistent. When I say we filed north of 200, we're getting closer to 300 cease and desists in a decade, I mean we have, and every time we find a case of someone scraping the content from realtyorlando.com to build their own website instead of them creating the content themselves, we have to send a cease and desist. So what's next for me is I have to call a colleague in Central Florida. They transact in Windermere, big name, and I have to have an uncomfortable conversation and say, I'm giving you this courtesy call, which I typically don't do, but I know this agent and I have to make the call, I feel, and say, hey, what's about to hit your email box, but I'm giving you a call out of a mutual colleague to colleague respect. And I assume it's someone in your staff who maybe didn't tell you that instead of creating content exclusively found on your website, your staff may not tell you, maybe you didn't ask the right questions. They just decided to conveniently visit realtyorlando.com and take my Windermere content, my Dr. Phillips content, our Orlando vacation home communities content, not all, but many. That's not the right word. We have over 900 hyperlocal communities that can't be found on any of the national portals on realtyorlando.com. So I get it. We've been at this since 2007. It's a hard thing for someone to take all. But this particular case, they took several, and that's not okay. What can a team leader do? What can any real estate agent who operates a website? Well, if you are the one creating the content, then great, you're fine. You will know if you wrote the content yourself, created the content yourself, and took the images yourself with the camera, like you went out and took images yourself, you own that copyright. If you would like the resources that are available through National Association of Realtors in regard to realtors staying respectful to copyright and not infringing on others, DM me and I'll send it over to you. Happy to do that. Also, the legality and topic of copyright is not exclusive to the real estate industry. Of course, that's in any industry. You could go to chat, you could go to Google, you could do some crash course and just the 101s of how to maintain a real estate website without infringing on others' copyright. It's really simple. Write your own content, take your own images, create your own assets. Own your own IP. Don't scrape from others. The smart agents who have websites know it's very easy to find. Lastly, if you're someone who operates a website, a team leader, a broker owner, and you have delegated that task, you should on the regular be doing an audit to make sure that content you are paying that individual, even if it's a outside consultant or outside writer you've hired or a staff or employee, you should be doing an audit before you post that. Don't even just ask them, because I've had cases now that we're nearing 300 cease and desists, and many of which were DMCAs where the web host company took the site down because the owner of the site would not comply to copyright infringement. I've seen cases where the owner of the site or agent asked the assistant, did they write it? The assistant said yes, but they didn't tell the truth. So it's you, the owner of the site, it's your responsibility to do the audit. Check it. Check for accuracy. Hi, Daniela. Hi, Tramble. Hey, Christina. Hey, Rosa. I don't really know why I haven't talked about it yet all these times, but I'm feeling spicy and I'm ready to talk about it. I'll let you know how it goes. As I mentioned, when we find a copyright infringement, we usually just have the attorney send over a cease and desist and call it a day. And most of the time, the individual takes it down and it's a non-issue. I mean, it costs us money, but it's a non-issue because a lot of times people don't realize that someone in their business has done it. When it's someone I know and have a realtor colleague relationship with, I don't know, what do you think? Don't you think I should give a call, just say, hey, mutual respect, I'm guessing you don't know, but I'm going to send this over. I'm required to send this over, and this is going to land in your email box. And as long as this gets taken down immediately, we can kind of like no harm, no foul. You'll probably hear me talk about it a little bit more moving forward. If you are building a website, if you are building anything around content, create your own. Don't trust ChatGPT either. Do not trust ChatGPT. You need to do an audit, and you need to make sure as a content creator, that of which you write, that of which you create, that of which you capture as far as images is literally either your own hand or you've done everything you can to audit and make sure that it is unique and yours. Have you encountered any copyright infringement, either unbeknownst to you, you didn't realize you infringed, or someone has infringed on your copyright? Let me know, and thank you for coming to this little mini TED Talks on Wednesday. I'll keep you all posted on how it goes. I see Julian says yes, a courtesy call is okay. I will probably do a courtesy call, and also it will be immediately followed by a cease and desist because we're required to keep consistency. So yeah, protect what is yours, protect what is right, stand up for what is right, and never be hesitant to be in communication through some of the tough conversations. Make today an awesome day. Thank you for following along, and stay tuned for more.